All right, let's be honest, political promises can get really loud and, frankly, pretty confusing. So today, we're just going to cut right through all that noise. We're going to take a look at one specific program for South Africa's 2026 local elections. The goal here is to use its own documents to see what's actually on the table. From the big grand vision all the way down to the promises you can actually measure.
You know how every political platform seems to have that one big North Star sentence, that one line that's supposed to capture its entire ambition? Well, this is it for the program we're looking at today. Functional, safe, and prosperous for all. I mean, those three words are a pretty direct response to some of the biggest challenges communities are facing, right? And really, this sentence is the benchmark. It's what every single policy we're about to dive into should be measured against.
Okay, so how do you even begin to turn a vision that big into something real? According to this program, it all starts with three foundational principles. Seriously, think of them like the legs of a stool. If even one of them is shaky, the whole thing just collapses. They're presented as the absolute, non-negotiable bedrock of the entire plan.
And here they are. First up, a laser focus on the basics. We're talking water, electricity, roads, the stuff that has to work. Second, a serious commitment to clean and professional government, which means tackling corruption head-on. And third, creating real, tangible opportunities for every single community, not just for a select few. And here's the crucial part. These three ideas, they're the foundation for every single detailed proposal that we're going to see next.
All right, so building on those three core principles, the program then branches out into 7 strategic pillars. This is really the moment we shift gears, We're moving away from the why and diving straight into the how. This is the blueprint for turning those big ideas into an actual plan of action for local government.
And this really is the most important question, isn't it? I mean, principles and pillars, they're just words on a page until you can actually picture what they look like on the ground. So how does this whole vision actually translate into changes that you or I would feel in our daily lives?
So here they are, the 7 pillars. As you can see, they cover pretty much everything, from those basic services and clean government we mentioned, to the local economy, community safety, housing, the whole shebang. It's meant to be a really comprehensive approach. Now, for our purposes today, we're going to zoom in on just 2 of these areas to really get a feel for the level of detail: governance and basic services.
Okay, this is where we get to the real meat of the plan. We're moving past all the high-level strategy talk and getting into the specific, actionable proposals. Let's take a look at how this program actually plans to turn its promises into results you can see on the street.
So let's start with that second pillar, clean and professional governance. The program puts a massive emphasis on this, proposing a flat-out zero-tolerance policy on corruption. And they make it clear this isn't just a talking point. They've actually outlined specific mechanisms to enforce it.
One of the plan's really big flagship ideas is this tool they're calling Open Budget 360 Degrees. The concept is basically radical transparency. We're talking about live streaming all public tender processes and publishing every single municipal expense online for anyone to see. The idea is that, in a system where shady deals can thrive in the dark, something like this is designed to be a pretty powerful disinfectant.
So this whole anti-corruption strategy really rests on 3 very practical steps. First, it's about prevention, making it mandatory for all officials to publicly declare their assets. Plus, there's a proposed ban on giving municipal contracts to family members or political partners. Then, there's accountability, requiring mandatory, independent external audits of all municipal accounts every single year, just to make sure the books are clean. Okay, now let's switch over to that other pillar we wanted to focus on: restoring basic services. Because let's face it, for so many people, this is the absolute bottom line. It's what you expect from your local government, right? Taps that work, lights that stay on, and roads that are safe to drive on.
What's proposed here is a pretty specific, time-bound plan. It kicks off with a massive technical audit to figure out exactly what's broken with water, electricity, roads, and waste. Then, and this is interesting, they want to publish a public digital map of all those service failures, neighborhood by neighborhood, so everyone can see the scale of the problem right where they live. And then comes the key part. They release a public, verifiable schedule for all the repairs, with mandatory progress reports every quarter to hold officials accountable.
And all of this brings us to what might be the most important part of this entire program: the scorecard. The idea here is to move completely away from vague promises and instead offer up hard, quantifiable targets. We're talking about actual numbers that anyone, any citizen, can use to measure whether they're succeeding or failing. So, first up on the scorecard,
a hard target, a 40% reduction in water leaks. Now, this number isn't just about saving water, which is obviously important. It's really a direct measure of the health of the entire water infrastructure. I mean, to hit a target like that, you'd have to launch a massive, proactive effort to find and fix old pipes, not just react when they burst.
All right, next up is a promise that pretty much anyone who drives can appreciate: repairing 80% of all potholes within 2 years. And again, this isn't just about having a smoother ride. It's about reducing damage to people's cars and making it easier for local businesses to operate. It's one of those super visible, time-bound promises where, progress, or a lack of it, is pretty much impossible to hide.
The scorecard also tackles the economy head-on, with a target of creating 20,000 local jobs specifically for young people. This is where you can see that economic pillar connecting directly to one of the country's biggest challenges. It ties right back to that foundational principle of creating real opportunities for every community.
And then we come full circle, right back to transparency. Here, the promise is that 100%, not 99, 100% of all municipal spending will be published online for public review. This is really the ultimate accountability metric for that open budget 360-degree idea. There's just no wiggle room, no ambiguity in a number like that.
So, okay, after digging through all the principles, the pillars, and those hard numbers on the scorecard, what's the bottom line? What does this all boil down to? Well, the entire program is distilled into one core commitment, a final, really simple message to voters.
Governments that work, services that arrive, opportunities that change lives. These 3 short phrases, that's it. That's what's presented as the end result of all those detailed plans we just looked at. It's a promise that really boils down to 3 things: competence, delivery, and a meaningful impact on people's lives.
But of course, a detailed plan is one thing. Actually making it happen is something else entirely. And that leaves us with the most critical question of all, doesn't it? When you look at a blueprint like this, you just have to ask yourself, what does it really take to bridge that huge gap between promises on a piece of paper and a brand new reality on the ground?